Hey, you guys, Leah here. And you may recall that I'm reading Florence Scovel Shinn's Game of Life and How You Play It. Well, already in chapter 1, my inner critic has been like, what? Hold up. Wait a minute. Not buying it. She uses a lot of anecdotal stories as evidence for what she's teaching. And obviously, in the case of a book that was written 95 years ago, I can't go verify with her. I can't verify with the people she says she's helped. If she named them and told us where they lived, we still wouldn't necessarily be able to go and research and find out if she was telling us the truth. And the same thing goes for people who are writing right now these kinds of books, giving these kinds of information and feedback. They can say anything they want. You can tell me you were healed. I can't prove it. But what I can do, since I do believe in the idea that our thoughts lead to our actions, which result in our experience of life and how we approach things, and therefore thoughts become things, I totally buy that. And I can look into my own experience to verify, look into my own manifestations, using the language of many people, to find evidence that this stuff can and does work. Prime example, one of my favorite examples is the births of my children. My eldest, I decided kind of late in the game, in the gestation game, that I wanted to have her at a birthing center. And actually, there was like a super weird, tumultuous time in my life, and I was not doing a lot of intentional anything. I was just kind of flailing. And she wound up being born in the hospital under, let's say, I had some sense of control of the situation. I was able to do it, without the medication, which is something that I knew I wanted to do. But it was not the environment, and I was not surrounded by the people and the nurturing that, that as a 3-time birth giver, I recognize is available and preferential to me. My son, the second, was born at home in a tub with midwives in support, and his dad was there, and my sister came shortly after, and my daughter was in the next room as he was being born. And that was like just a massive upgrade on that experience for me. And I had, from the beginning, I started reading and preparing my mind and doing birthing techniques and that kind of thing. And I was just in a better mind frame, right? A better conceptual, I was in a place where I felt like this was going to be my experience, and I had an idea of what I wanted it to be. The third time around, what a charm. What a miracle. I felt guided, and I wouldn't recommend to anyone. It was for me. But I felt that I wanted to have my child at home, unattended, me, the person with whom she was conceived, and that space, our sacred home space. And that's how she was born, at home, with me, and my husband caught her in his hands, and she still had the call on her, and he was able to take her out. I mean, like, the most intimate, amazing experience. And some elements of it, like the position I was in, came to me clearly before. And I mean, I was just totally guided and blessed. And then the midwife who did come and check her vitals and my vitals after she was here was on hand within 20 minutes after she arrived. But we had that little cocoon of our time, which was what I was really most attracted to, and that faith that my body and that nature knew what it was doing. And just really being able to honor that. For me, it was like having those 3 successive experiences is proof for me where I can't find proof in Florence Scovel Shinn's writing, right? I can take her at her word, but the proof is in my own pudding. Another great example of a time when I felt completely at wit's end and I didn't know what I was going to do was when my son was about 8 or 9, and he was really upset because there were bullies bothering him at school. And my first reaction was like, where they at? It was like, oh, I ain't gonna be messing with my boy. But then I was able to take a couple of minutes and go within and talk with him and just really get a vision of what we wanted the situation to be. I wanted him to feel safe. and to feel like his school was a place where he wanted to be and the people around him were kind. And I felt inspired to talk to his teacher and just say, it might be a really good time to talk about what are ways to be kind with one another in the class, not pointing any fingers, not saying that little kid needs to go or any of that. Just, really gently, lovingly getting into the situation. And before she even brought it up to the class, the other little boy just chilled out. And I just felt so held. I felt like that was just such a blessing to be able to shift consciousness, my son's consciousness, and have the physical experience around us change so quickly. It was like 1 or 2 days later, super awesome. So that's going in my book of manifestations, my book of accomplishments, or whatever you want to call it. And one more anecdotal, one more piece of evidence that this stuff works. About 20 years ago, maybe longer than that. No, maybe about that. I got off the phone with someone who I knew from my high school years, who was an exchange student at my high school. And we just reconnected internationally and had a lovely conversation, a lovely catching up. And once we got off the phone, I thought to myself, man, what a wonderful person. When I'm ready to hunker down and do the roots thing, I wanted to be with somebody like that. So I've been with that person for 19 years now. And the majority of those years have been enjoyable. And we're at a place now where this whole COVID weirdness has actually brought us closer together. And I'd say we're enjoying each other as much as or more than ever. So so I got at least a few examples of how this mind affects matter thing can show up in real life. That's important to me. I don't want to just take somebody else's word for it. I want proof, in my own pudding. And so I'm really interested now in intentionally creating more and more positive experiences, more and more of the life that is mine, that resonates with me and what I want to be doing while I'm here. And I'm curious to hear from you, what are some past experiences that are proof to you that what you think influences, ideally in a positive way, but obviously sometimes self-fulfilling prophecy can be in a negative way. So if you feel like sharing in the comments sometimes when you recognize that what you were thinking directly influenced what you received in your experience, I would love to know about that for you. I appreciate when you subscribe or like or share this with anyone who you think would be interested in this conversation. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you soon.